There is a big misconception in the music industry. Producers think that they will make a really good track from day one, and that's completely wrong. You will not make a good track until your first 2 years of music production, like a really good track. You need to put in the work, be rejected, make shit tracks continuously so that you can make the good tracks. Think about it this way: there's a tap, and the tap is filled with water, but the tap hasn't been used since a long time. At first, when you switch on the tap, dirty water comes out, but after a few minutes, the good clean water comes out. The same thing goes with your music or any art, the quality of your art. At first, you'll only have bad quality, bad work. Bad work will come, and come. And finally, the good work will come. This is one concept that helped me achieve quality in my tracks. My tracks sound really good nowadays. And even my worst track also sound good. Because I put in the reps. It's the art of splurging, where we leverage quantity to achieve quality. There was an experiment done back in the day where in a pottery class, a class was divided into two groups. One group had to make the best pottery, only one pottery. And the other class had to make the most number of pots. And the results were astonishing. The class that had to make one pot were really bad. But the class that had to make a lot of pots had the best pots. And their worst pot was as good as the other group's best pot. So by this experiment, we can use this concept in our art or music career. Splurging means the art of doing something freely. In musical terms, the art of making a lot of music with zero focus on quality. Those who feel difficult to splurge must splurge. Splurging is similar to that you just go to the gym and train a muscle. Or if you want to become a good bodybuilder or you want a good body or you want to be fit, you just go put in the reps. You go to the gym every single day, eat a clean diet, put in the work, train hard, sleep, focus on nutrition, sleep well, and voila, like you have a good body. But before that, there is one mindset that I learned that will change the way you look at splurging or making music forever. It's the practice mindset and the production mindset. So the production mindset focuses more on the output and the result of the track. And the person who has a production mindset only works on one track at a time. Like, he puts all his effort on one track and he judges himself by the output of it. And he judges his own music. And because of that, he rarely releases any music. The second mindset is the practice mindset, where someone focuses on the input rather than the output. And he works on multiple tracks at the same time. And people judge his music, not him. And due to that, he releases so much more music. I release at least 2 to 3 tracks a month. It's April. And in the month of April, I've already released 4 tracks. 4 tracks. If you've told me this 2 years ago, that you should release 4 tracks, I would have laughed at you, because I used to spend so much on it. I have one track, at least, like say 50 hours. Now I only spend at most 15 hours. It's a big difference. And this mindset changed the way I make music. Now talking about splurging, the way you set up your splurge does not matter. it should not be perfect. So here are the basic guidelines you should follow. One is that set up a template with 5 instruments, and each instrument should represent one frequency band. For example, your drums, your bass, your low mids, high mids, and your highs. There's no right and wrong setup, as said before, and the perfect setup does not exist. It should just be a starting point, a good starting point. And the key thing is that the instruments should inspire you. So pick instruments, synths, VSTs, it's whatever, it's fine. And put them in a template and put VSTs that you love to enjoy. It should be fun, easy, and inspiring. There are 4 main rules for splurging. 1. Zero focus on quality. Quality. Yeah. You have to just make something. I'll get back to each of the rules. I'll explain them in detail later. First, let's get to the rules. Second is 100% focus on speed. Third, export the audio file and save the project. And fourth, the most important one, do not listen to the exported audio file until 1 week. And a bonus thing, the maximum time limit should be 30 minutes. Okay? So let's break down each rule. Zero focus on quality. Your aim should be that you should be making the worst track possible. You might think that's easy, but making a song that sounds really bad is really hard because we're trained to make good music. So you just need to go and enjoy. Make something, even if it sounds so shit. It's good. You're just releasing all the bad water from your tap. Eventually the good water will flow. Focus on speed. Maximum focus on quantity. Just get the idea out of your mind. Even if it's weird, dumb, it sounds bad, whatever. Focus on speed. The only exception for speed is when you're in a flow state. So flow state is when you forget time. It's like when you're really focused on the task that you're doing. And getting into a flow state is really good. It's really good for your mental health. It's really good for your career. It will give you joy and bliss, and it's so fun to be in the flow state, but it's hard to achieve it. So focus on speed and focus on quantity and not on quality. Because by putting in the reps, we're going to achieve the quality. Think about this analogy. I have this brilliant analogy that I tell my friends. Martin Garrix's worst track sounds like our best track. Why? Because he has put in the reps, put in so much work and hard work that his worst track or idea sounds like our best track. And this took place because he had put in the work. He focused on quantity. He put in the reps. And through that, he achieved quantity. Because it's not about how many hours you spend on one track. It's how many iterations that you do, how many tracks you make, how many new tracks you finish. Because spending 10,000 hours on one track is no point. But having 10,000 songs, yeah, that will make a difference, a huge difference. The third rule is export the audio file and save the project. Exporting the audio file is important because if your project might get corrupted or you lose the samples or some VSTs don't open up, you can just listen to the track. And we need the audio file at the end of the session. When after 1 week you're done, we are going to go back and listen to the exported file, and you are going to start working on the idea that inspires you. So export the audio file and save the project. The next thing is to not listen to the exported audio file. This is so important. Show the Because think about of this. There's a judge inside of you, an editor, okay? A judge, like someone who judges everything. So once you make a track and you export it and you listen to it, you think that the track is good, but it's not. Because you just made the track, so you give a lot of value to it. But when you keep aside the track and listen to it after a long time, you can have a different perspective because your ears are, what do you say, not fatigued. You forget the track. The inside judge of you does not give a shit. He forgot of the track. So you should not listen to the exported audio file. Keep it in a separate folder. And time limit is 30 minutes, because if it's more than 30 minutes, then you will waste time editing. Okay? Now the splurge stops when you question what you're making. For example, if you're like, oh, I hate this track, stop. Stop right there. You're done. Okay? The same goes that if you say, oh, I love the track, I want to make more. I say continue, but many people say to stop because you're letting the judge the track, and based on those emotions you're going to work on the track. The second thing is that you edit what you just made. Say for example, you drew a piano melody, or no, piano melody is fine. Suppose you're finding a sound for the synth or the chords or for the piano, and you like go through presets and all that. You're like EQing or adding distortion, or adding reverb. When you start editing the raw sound, that's when you stop, because you're in the editing mode. You're not creating. And when your time is up. So when your time is up, your splurge done. And when you don't know what to do next, suppose you're just making a bland idea and your mind suddenly goes blank. Like just you're like blank. You stop. Just stop out there. You're done. Work on another splurge. Like take a break and work on another splurge. There's this idea where you divide your creative process into two phases. It's called write drunk, edit sober. So the two creative phases are, first the creative and capturing phase, and the second is the editing phase. So splurging is all about the creative phase and the capturing phase, where our goal is to only capture the idea and getting the idea from a brain into your DAW. This trick is done so that you can remove your judgment while making something. That is your love and hate for the idea. It's better to capture everything while creating ideas. I mean literally everything. For example, you're recording a guitar lick, click on record and just play the lick. Even play the lick. Even if it's bad, you're playing the wrong notes. But generally, I've seen that the first take of anything is always the best. The same goes with vocals, the same goes with automations. The first take is always the best. So hit the record button when you're recording. Even when you're just like jamming to something, just hit the record button. And another thing is to not delete anything during this phase, because that's editing again. You're not capturing, you're getting away from the creative process, you're just editing shit. So we want to force yourself in the capturing and the creative phase. Now, but I want to talk about the editing phase, where your goal is to refine the ideas that you have created. In this phase, you have to resist the urge of creating new ideas, because this is the editing phase. We have done all the creative work in the creative phase. So in the editing phase, you're only going to sit and edit what you have made. Ruthlessly delete, trim, and reorder the material. That's it. Okay? If you find something that's good but cannot be used in another project, save it in your favorites folder and use it in another project. Okay? If things are not working in your favor, then abandon the idea. but do not stop recording. This might seem counterintuitive that if you abandon the idea but you should not stop recording. I'll give you an example. Say you're right, trying to record a guitar melody, but the melody one does not work with the track that you have. So instead of saying, "Oh, I'll record the guitar, I'll stop recording and wait and like find another melody," instead of doing that, keep the recording on, and while the recording is going on, find the second melody. Because, as I said earlier, the first take is always the best take. The goal of a splurge is to aim for a vibe and a feeling. Try to create an emotional response within this life. And be honest yourself and remember to have fun. Music is emotion. And people, like for example, your favorite song, you like it because you feel something. And we can get that to splurging. With splurging, say you work on only one track and there's no emotion in the track. So you reduce the probability of creating a track that has emotion. Whereas while focusing on quantity, you can easily get a track that has emotion in it. It might sound counterintuitive because you have so many limiting beliefs that I should just work on one track because this track is going to be a banger. But many people don't realize that what makes a good artist is their catalog of music. For example, Daft Punk or Skrillex. When you click on Daft Punk's profile on Spotify, and there's an editorial place called This is Daft Punk. Every song of theirs is iconic. It's not that they have one song that's really good. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You want to play the game for a long time. And Daft Punk, that each and every track is really good because over the years they've developed their sound and they put their music out. And this leads to another key takeaway that let people judge your music, not you. We believe that whatever we make is shit because we are used to the idea. We have heard the track at least a million times before we release a song. And we do let people judge your music. So how do you allow that? First, you put your tracks out. Even though I would not recommend putting really bad tracks, but tracks that are good enough. Because you need to build a catalog. A catalog of music, bro, it is a big asset because every song of yours is going to earn money. Like, for example, I would rather have 40 songs that earns $1,000 rather than one song to earn $40,000. Why? Because if any one of those tracks like generates more streams, that's more money. So in the long run, the track that I got $40,000 with, I would be restricted to that. Whereas over here, each and every track of mine can get $40,000. So with that mindset, focus on building a catalog. And you can only build a good catalog by focusing on making more music and releasing them. The key thing is to be consistent. Make music every single day. It might seem really easy. Your mind be like, oh yeah, I do that. But trust me, consistency goes a long way. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not in the mood, I don't have time. That's why the art of splurging, where you focus on not making good music, you're in a time constraint and you're not going to release the track anyway. So you can just get in a splurge done. There are a few techniques that I learned over the years. One is by this producer called Decap. His 3M technique, where you make an idea, you mix it fully, and move on. You can use the same rules from a splurge, that you should focus on the zero quality, focus on quantity, maximal speed, and a time constraint. The goal is to finish more music. I see so many producers, this including myself. I suck at finishing music. I can make really great ideas, but it is getting from the ideation state to the final product. I'm good at finishing tracks, but I am not good at making the idea into a full-fledged song. Like I can make a full arrangement, but I can't fill the song. For example, I am bad at guitar. So in my lo-fi track, I love to have guitars because yeah, I just love it. It's my signature style, I think so. So I can get a full-fledged idea out with piano, drums, everything else, but I struggle with guitar. So I'm learning the guitar, but I need to rely on a collaborator to add the guitar. And once that's done, yeah, I'm good at finishing music. Another thing that he taught me was to shoot for an 80% happiness on all your tracks. When people listen to your music, they won't listen to it carefully. They always listen to it in the background because it might seem counterintuitive because when lyrics are playing, a song with lyrics, people focus more on the lyrics and not on the background elements. Yeah, it's good to have a detailed track with all percussion, ear candy and all that. But shoot for 80% happiness on your track is same as the 80-20 rule. I said earlier in my previous video where 20% of your song is going to come from the first 4 hours of your track. And those first 4 hours are really crucial because if the idea is bad, the song is going to be really bad. Do not overthink your music. If it sounds good, it sounds good. So trust your ears. And training your ears is important. Sound Gym is a website where I use to train my ears and it helped me with mixing. And you can also try it out. It's quite cheap. It has a monthly subscription of $10 or so. Like training my ears really help me in my mixing and it helped me how I make music. Another thing is by Duke Dumont. He's another fantastic producer who has a famous song called Ocean Drive. He once said that make 4 to 5 ideas a week for a month and put it in a folder. And after a month, you open that folder and you then work on those tracks which you like. You can use this in your life by applying the same rules as a splurge, that zero focus on quality, 100% on speed, and do not listen to the audio file after rendering. Now, what should we do after waiting for a few days, for a week after we make a splurge? So, if you are making one splurge a day, and I highly recommend you to do that before every music session. Say you have a mixing session going on and you want to do a mix down. Before that, get a splurge done so that It boosts your creative witty increases because you're removing a little bit of the bad water and you're allowing the good water to flow in. So before every music session, get a splurge in. Now for what should we do after waiting for a week? Pull up that folder and listen to these tracks. Go through each track and use this filter, as in, does this track make me feel something? So while listening to an idea, have this sentence in your mind: does this track make me feel something? If not, remove it. You can use that idea later. If yes, take that idea and start working on it. Use this process, rinse and repeat. Now you have all the ideas that you really mess with and that makes you feel something. If you do not have an idea that makes you feel something, then go back to splurging, make more ideas. My favorite way to splurge is called preset splurging, where the five instruments that you have, I have, I think, Serum, Omnisphere, Nexus, Silent One, and Keyscape loaded. So what I do is I set the timer. I just start, but before that, I click on, like, say, Keyscape. I go to a random piano, say some preset. I also don't know, and I make music with that. I try to incorporate that into my idea. The same goes to with all the four instruments. I pull up random presets and try to make that my own. Try to blend it in the mix. But here I focus a lot on editing and improving my sound design skills rather than making an idea. But you can also use it as a splurge. So I take those ideas and try to make a track around that. It's quite hard, but trust me, it's really worth it. The another splurge that I discovered recently is called sample pack splurging, where you all know, like every music producer has a lot of sample packs. So I pull up one random sample pack and I make a whole track out of that. This pushes me to a limit of sound designing and layering, so that I can layer certain sounds together to get the perfect thing that I want. And this also allows me to find new sounds so that I can add them into my favorites folder. And splurging has changed my life because I look at music now as more on quantity. Yeah, in the long run, it's really good to focus on quality because your bad tracks also sound good. So you should also. So when your bad tracks sound really good, and when you get to that point, you will see that your bad tracks sound really good. That's when you can stop splurging. It's up to you, but in my opinion, I'm going to release like most of my tracks that I make because I want to create a catalog first. The artist Hoffy Beats has a brilliant catalog. Like, I think that man releases like 80 to 90 tracks a year. 80, 80 to 90 tracks a year. He's a monster. And I want to be that guy who has an assortment of music. Like, not different genres under lo-fi only. I want to have like jazz, chill hop, because that shows versatility in your craft. Because if you're limiting yourself to only like slow-fi, that to sleepy lo-fi, it does not make sense. For example, Martin Garrix and David Guetta. Martin Garrix produced Progressive House, Big Row. He also produces future base because he's not limiting yourself. Why are you limiting yourself? If you want to create something, create it. And in that note, like, there's this course that I learned all this. It's called Mike Monday's 11-day explosion challenge. I put a link in the description. Check it out. It's a brilliant course. And this is where I learned all of this. And yeah, splurge every day before your any session. Get it done and leverage quantity to achieve quality. Yeah. To the hard work, bro. Bye.